Jaya Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. We are reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 8. Adi-lila, chapter 8. The author receives the orders of Krishna and Guru. Translations and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashitade Shatarane. So, Adi-lila chapter 8, starting from text 21. Swantantra Ishvara Prema Nigudha Bhandara Ila Ila Yare Tare Nakaila Vichara. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself, is fully independent. Therefore, although it is the most confidentially stored benediction, He can distribute love of Godhead to anyone and everyone without consideration. Jai. So Lord Chaitanya is totally independent. That means He can do whatever He wants. He is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God Himself. So even though love of God is generally kept very confidentially, very safely, it's locked up under lock and key. But if Lord Chaitanya wants, He can just give it to anyone and everyone without consideration. Purport. This is the benefit of Lord Chaitanya's movement. If one somehow or other comes in contact with the Hare Krishna movement without consideration of his being a Shudra, Vaishya, Jagai, Madhai, or even lower, he becomes advanced in spiritual consciousness and immediately develops love of Godhead. We now have actual experience that throughout the entire world, this movement is making many such persons lovers of God, simply by the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Actually, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared as the spiritual master of the entire world. He does not discriminate between offenders and the innocent. Krishna Prema Pradayate. He liberally gives love of Godhead to anyone and everyone. This can be actually experienced, as stated in the next verse. So this is a great benediction we get from being in contact with Lord Chaitanya. But Gaudiya Pradaya, Gaudiya Vaishnavas, is that we have Lord Chaitanya's mercy. And by Lord Chaitanya's causeless mercy, we can get the great gift of love of God. Whether we are qualified or unqualified, Lord Chaitanya doesn't care. He overlooks all those things and He just bestows love of God on anyone who's willing to receive it. Yeah, Prabhupada said this can be actually, he said this twice. He said first, we now have actual experience that this movement is making people lovers of God by chanting Hare Krishna. And then again, he says this can actually be experienced because Prabhupada experienced it. You know, he came to the US, traveled all over the world to different countries and met people who were totally unqualified, had no background in Vedic culture or even religion, but they somehow started chanting Hare Krishna and they became lovers of God very, very quickly, practically immediately. So this is the power of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. And we should know that this is coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna Prema Pradayate. He is the giver of Krishna Prema. We're very, very grateful to Him and worship Him with all of our hearts. Text 22. Adya piha deka Chaitanya nama yelai Krishna Preme kulakashu vivala se hai.
Whether he is offensive or inoffensive, everyone who even now chants Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda is immediately overwhelmed with ecstasy and tears fill his eyes. Purpose: the Prakrita Sahajiyas who chant Nitai Gaura Radhe Shyam have very little knowledge of the Bhagavad conclusion and they hardly follow the Vaishnava rules and regulations. And yet, because they chant Bhajan Nitai Gaura, their chanting immediately evokes tears and other signs of ecstasy. Although they do not know the principles of Vaishnava philosophy and are not very much advanced in education, by these symptoms they attract many men to become their followers. Their ecstatic tears will, of course, help them in the long run. For as soon as they come in contact with a pure devotee, their lives will become easy. The holy name their swift advancement on the path of love of Godhead is very prominently visible.
This before, Prabhupada was getting, it was being a little heavy with people who can't these straight up mantras, right? And now he's saying that, okay, even though they're Prakriti Sahajis, even though they have very little philosophical focused mantra, but still, because it has the name Nitai Gora in it, Lord Chaitanya is so merciful that he overlooks all the improprieties. He overlooks all the mistakes in their practice and their mantra and whatever. And he gives them ecstatic love. Nitai Gaur. Even if you do it wrong, it's right. Nitai Gaur. So, Sierra, thanks for joining. So we're on Adi-lila chapter 8, text 23. Nityananda Bodhite Hare Krishna Premodaya Avalaya Sakala Anga Ashuganga.
Simply by talking of Nityananda, Prabhu, one awakens his love for Krishna. Thus, all his bodily limbs are agitated by ecstasy, and tears flow from his eyes like the waters of the Ganges.
Especially firstly saying how ecstatic you get by chanting Hare Krishna. How by chanting Hare Krishna, you'll be transformed. Immediately come along with that. Tears fill your eyes. And now he's saying that simply by saying Nityananda, you awaken your love for Krishna. These things. Tears flow like waters of the Ganges. In other words, continuously, right? Continuously. Text 24. Krishna nama kare aparadhera vichara. Krishna balile aparadhira nahaya vikara. Rich, you able to read?
Yes, one moment, please, Prabhupada Priya.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's Arjunaji.
There are offenses to be considered while chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Therefore, simply by chanting Hare Krishna, one does not become ecstatic. Purport. It is very beneficial to chant the name Sri Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda before chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, because by chanting these two holy names, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, one immediately becomes ecstatic, and if he then chants the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, he becomes free of offenses. There are 10 offenses to avoid in chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. The first offense is to blaspheme great personalities who are engaged in distributing the holy name of the Lord. It is said in the Shastra CC Antya 7:11, Krishna Shakti Vina Nahe Tara Pravartana. One cannot distribute the holy names of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra unless he is empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, one should not criticize or blaspheme a devotee who is thus engaged. Sri Padma Purana states, Satam, can I skip that, Prabhupada Priya, please?
Yeah, you can skip if you want.
Thank you. To blaspheme the great saintly persons, who are engaged in preaching the glories of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the worst offense at the lotus feet of the holy name. One should not criticize a preacher of the glories of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. If one does so, he is an offender. The Nama Prabhu, who is identical with Krishna, will never tolerate such blasphemous activities, even from one who passes as a great devotee. The
Just
second,
pause there, please.
sure.
Thank you. Yeah, so he's going to go through some of the offenses because he's saying that when we commit offenses, when we're chanting, then we won't become ecstatic. So sometimes, right, you're chanting your japa, you're chanting kirtan, and we're hearing here that if you chant Hare Krishna, then you're going to become a lover of God. You're going to have ecstatic love for Krishna. But if we're not experiencing that, now he's explaining why, because we're committing some offenses. So the first and the most serious offense is that when we blaspheme the devotees, right? When we criticize devotees, especially those devotees who are trying to spread Krishna consciousness, trying to teach people about the holy names, the preachers of Krishna consciousness. And he said, why? Because he says that one cannot distribute the holy names, Hare Krishna mantra, unless they are empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we should understand that anyone who's like preaching or teaching or training devotees, teaching people how to chant Hare Krishna, that person is doing so by the desire and the empowerment of the Lord himself. So if we go and find fault with that person, then we're not just being antagonistic towards that person, but we're also being antagonistic towards the Lord, who is supporting and empowering that person. So that's very serious, right? And it says that the holy name, who is Krishna, doesn't tolerate those kinds of offenses. So be very, very careful to really value the devotees. And even if they seem to have some superficial faults, we should appreciate the service that they're doing and how they're trying their best, despite their faults, to spread Krishna consciousness somehow or other in this dark world. And that such a great soul is very, very rare. There's so few devotees on the planet, so we really need to appreciate all of that. And because sometimes we joke around or so, but we need to be careful, not to make serious offenses, and even be careful in joking that we don't hurt someone's feelings. Rich, you have a question?
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhupada Priya. 2 quick questions, if that's okay.
Sure.
Thank you. So the first one is when it said that you become ecstatic by chanting Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Prabhu Nityananda. First thing that came to my mind was that's got to be like an exaggeration, or they're saying that figuratively, not literally. I don't mean to argue with it, but it just sounds too good to be true for you to say those names and become ecstatic. Not the Maha Mantra, but those names.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, if we chant them very seriously, very sincerely, really understanding who are these personalities that we're chanting the names of. All right, who is this personality of Lord Chaitanya? This is what we're trying to understand by reading Caitanya Caritamrita. That's literally what it means. Is Chaitanya is Lord Chaitanya, and Charita means the personality, the character. And Amrita means nectar, means the nectarian personality, the nectar of the topic of the character of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we're trying to understand who he is. And sometimes you might hear the name of somebody that you don't know, and it doesn't evoke any feelings in your heart, right? Because you don't know the person, it's just the name, and you're just like, all right, who's that?
Yeah.
But if you have a close relationship with the person, you know a lot about them, you've had some, interaction with the person, some loving exchange with the person, and then someone says their name, and you won't have some. So the reason we don't have feelings is because we don't know the person very well. We haven't had a lot of personal exchanges with Lord Chaitanya. So, but the more we dedicate ourselves to the mission of Lord Chaitanya, to following his teachings, right, chanting the holy names and sharing it with others, and studying about his pastimes like we're doing here, By the time we finish Chaitanya Charitamrita, when you say Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, you're going to feel something. Guaranteed. So, yeah, it's just a matter of time. Okay,
Thank you, Prabhupada Priya.
Arjuna?
Yeah, I was thinking that it's sort of like when you bring up someone's favorite artist, like a lot of people who are obsessed with Beyonce, you know, if you say like, oh my God, I went to like Beyonce's concert, people are like, oh my God, yes, Beyonce! You know, like people go crazy like over their favorite artist or actor.
Yeah.
So, but I think of that I think that similarly, we just, as you said, it comes with becoming acquainted and, you know, but like people don't personally know Beyonce. They don't personally know like their favorite musician many times. Yet they're like so obsessed, you know, and they have posters in the room and they don't even have to personally know them, but there's something that they find attractive in personality.
Yeah, yeah. So we need to get hear about Richard Time, hear about Krishna, hear about their wonderful names and qualities and pastimes, and then our hearts will melt. And then what happens is tears coming from the eyes means that the heart is soft. Right? Because when the heart melts, it becomes like liquid, and then that liquid comes out the eyes. Coming from the Yeah, problem is that our hearts are like stone. Steel framed. Okay. Well, this is a long report, so why don't we break it up? Nikesh, would you like to read? The second.
Sure. In this material world, the holy.
That starts the paragraph before that, the second Namaparad.
Sure. The second Namaparad is described as follows. Sivasya Sri Vishnu ya iha guna namadi sakalam diya vinnam pasyat sa kalu hari namahita karaha. In this material world, the holy name of Vishnu is all auspicious. Vishnu's name, form, qualities, and pastimes are all transcendental. Absolute knowledge. Therefore, if one tries to separate the absolute personality of Godhead from his holy name or his transcendental form, qualities, and pastimes, thinking them to be material, that is offensive. Similarly, to think that the names of demigods such as Lord Shiva are as good as the name of Lord Vishnu, or in other words, to think that Lord Shiva and the other demigods are other forms of God and are therefore equal to Vishnu, is also blasphemous. This is the second offense at the lotus feet of the holy name of the Lord. The third offense at the lotus feet of the holy name, which is called Gurur Avigna, is to consider the spiritual master to be material and therefore to envy his exalted position. The fourth offense, Shruti Sastra Nindanam, is to blaspheme Vedic literatures such as the four Vedas and the Puranas. The fifth offense, Arthavada, is to consider the glories of the holy name to be exaggerations. Similarly, the sixth offense, Harinamni Kalpanam, is to consider the holy name of the Lord to be imaginary. The seventh offense is described as follows. Namno balad yasya papa buddhir na vidyate tasya yamir hi suddhi. To think that since the Hare Krishna mantra can counteract all sinful reactions, one may therefore go on with the sinful activities and at the same time chant the Hare Krishna mantra to neutralize them is the greatest offense at the lotus feet of Harinama. The eighth offense is stated thus: Dharma Vrata Tyaga Utadi Sarva Subhakriya Samyam Api Pramada. It is offensive to consider the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra to be a religious ritualistic ceremony. Performing religious ceremonies, following vows, and practicing renunciation and sacrifice are all materialistic auspicious activities. The chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra must not be compared to such materialistic religiosity. This is an offense at the lotus feet of the holy name of the Lord. The ninth offense is described as follows: Asraddha dhanane vimukhe pai asranubhati yes chopadesa siva nama pradha aparadha. It is an offense to preach the glories of the holy name among persons who have no intelligence or no faith in the subject matter. Such people should be given the chance to hear the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, but in the beginning they should not be instructed about the glories or the spiritual significance of the holy name. By constant hearing of the holy name, their hearts will be purified, and then they will be able to understand the transcendental position of the holy name. The 10th offense is as follows. I'll just skip that. And if one has heard the glories of the transcendental holy name of the Lord, but nevertheless continues in a materialistic concept of life, thinking, I am this body and everything belonging to this body is my property, and does not show respect and love for the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, that is an offense.
So this is the 10 offenses that we recite every morning after Mangalarti at our ISKCON temples. And it's very important to be aware of these because these things are going to make or break our chanting. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, sometimes we read through the list or we hear the recitation of the list and we think, I'm not doing any of those. Right? But we have to look a little deeper. And sometimes, like, for example, the 5th offense is to consider the glories of the holy name to be exaggeration. Mm-hmm. So Rich was just thinking, well, when I chant Nitai Gaur, I don't get tears in my eyes. That must be an exaggeration. So, Rich expressed it, but to some extent, we're all kind of thinking that, but not saying it, right? Mm-hmm. We're all wondering, like, even simple, like Prabhupada says, chant and be happy. I'm chanting and I'm not always happy. So, in my mind, I'm doubting. I have some doubts. I'm thinking it's exaggeration. Or, especially this last one, that having a materialistic concept of life, thinking that I'm this body and that the things that belong to this body are mine, that's an offense. It's like we've been given the highest thing, right? We've been given the highest philosophy, and yet we are not really embracing it. It's kind of like someone gives you a gift and you just throw it on the floor. That's an offense, right? You haven't been given the gift of the process of Krishna consciousness, the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, and we're still not quite accepting it fully, not surrendering to it. We're still maintaining material ideas of what's important and what's valuable.
Except for these girls. Pragati, what's your bank account number?
But any questions or comments in relation to any of these 10 offenses?
I was thinking about the 9th offense about preaching the glories of the holy name.
Yeah.
So I guess it's very interesting that you can say the holy name, but you should not preach about the particular significance of it.
Yeah.
So you can chant it in front of others, but I guess you shouldn't dig like that too deep into.
Yeah. So you can tell them, this is a mantra that you can use for meditation. It's transcendental sound vibration, and you just focus on hearing it and feel the effects, how it will calm your mind, how it will uplift your consciousness and so forth. Or we don't need to go into the esoteric, understanding of the whole. Because people aren't ready to, they're not going to believe that, and they're just going to think that's pretty outrageous. People think this mantra is God. I feel like really crazy.
How a word can be God,
Right? God says one of the worst ones is the seventh offense, which is doing some simple activity and thinking that no problem, I'll just chant Hare Krishna and make it good. So that's kind of like using the Hare Krishna mantra as like a doormat to wipe our dirty feet on. So that's highly offensive. Okay, let's go on then, text 25.
I remember one of, sorry, I remember one of, it was discussed in the class that you said that we have to serve the Mahamantra, not using Mahamantra as a on our service.
Yeah.
Like when you said that of doormat.
Yeah.
Exactly like that.
Yeah.
So like setting the mood that okay now I'm gonna serve for an hour by chanting this mantra.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. 25. Darshmasaram Hridayam Pratinam Yadriyananayavinamadeya Nadikriyatatvadavikaro Nitre Jalam Gachadure Shivarsha. Sneha? You got it?
Yes, Prabhupada Priya. Translation. If one's heart does not change, tears do not flow from his eyes, his body does not shiver, and his bodily hairs do not stand on end as he chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It should be understood that his heart is as hard as iron. This is due to his offenses at the lotus feet of the Lord's holy name. Purport. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, commenting on this verse, which is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam, remarks that sometimes a Mahabhagavata or a very advanced devotee does not manifest such transcendental symptoms as tears in the eyes, whereas sometimes a Kanishta Adhikari, a neophyte devotee, displays them artificially. This does not mean, however, that the neophyte is more advanced than the Mahabhagavata devotee. The test of the real change of the heart that takes place when one chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is that one becomes detached from material enjoyment. This is the real change. Bhakti parena pareshanubhavo viraktir anyatra cha. If one is actually advancing in spiritual life, he must become very much detached from material enjoyment. If it is sometimes found that a Kanishta Adhikari, a neophyte devotee, shows artificial tears in his eyes while chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, but is still completely attached to material things. His heart has not really changed. The change must be manifested in terms of one's real activities.
Yeah. So tears are cheap. Right? Anyone can just make a show of crying. If you just chanting in kirtan and then you just think of something very sad. Think of some person that you miss or some trauma that you had in your life, you know, you can start crying. So Prabhupada said that that's not necessarily an indication of one's spiritual advancement. But the real indication is how they've completely lost all their taste for material activities. So they have absolutely no taste for illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, eating of meat, or even eating out at restaurants or going to concerts and movies and nightclubs and stuff like that. All these materialistic people all these mundane things that materialistic people are very fond of, and maybe we used to be very fond of. But after chanting Hare Krishna, when we lose our taste for those, and all we want to do is associate with devotees and engage in different devotional services and do things to please Krishna, that's when we understand that our chanting is bearing its fruit. Chanting is working. Right? The heart is transforming. Consciousness is uplifted. That's what we can look for. But sometimes, yeah, he says sometimes very new people that are new to Krishna consciousness, they like to make a show of being more advanced than they are. And sometimes people who are actually very advanced in Krishna consciousness also like to hide their advancement. So by external physical symptoms like that, and sometimes it's hard to know. But we can tell when we observe their lifestyle, their activities, their regular daily activities. You can see that an advanced devotee doesn't want to waste a single moment without being engaged in Krishna consciousness. And they have a lot of attachment for chanting, attachment for devotees, they have attachment for Krishna, his holy places, the temple, and so forth. Okay, text 26. Eka Krishna Name Kare Sarva Papa Nasha Premera Karana Bhakti Karena Prakasha. Sandra, would you like to read?
Sure. Simply chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra without offenses vanquishes all sinful activities. Thus, for pure devotional service, which is the case of love of Godhead, becomes manifest. Right? Forward. One cannot be situated in the devotional service of the Lord unless one is free from sinful life. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 7.28.
You can skip the Sanskrit if you want.
Thank you. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the duality of the delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. A person who is already cleansed of all tinges of sinful life engages without deviation or duality of purpose in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. In this age, although people are greatly sinful, simply chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra can relieve them from the reactions of their sins. Eka Krishna name, only by chanting Krishna's name is this possible. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 12.3.51. Kirtana eva Krishnasya mukta sangha. Caitanya Mahaprabhu has also taught us this. While passing on the road, he used to chant.
We can say this all together.
Krishna, 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 Hare. Krishna, 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 Hare. Krishna, 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 Krishna,
Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava Parima.
If one always chants the holy name of Krishna, gradually one is freed from all reactions of sinful life, provided he chants offenselessly and does not commit more sinful activities on the strength of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. In this way, one is purified, and his devotional service causes the arousal of his dormant love of God. If one simply chants the Hare Krishna mantra and does not commit sinful activities and offenses, one's life is purified, and thus one comes to the fifth stage of perfection or engagement in the loving service of the Lord. Prema Pumaratomahan.
So this verse is all about the purifying potency of the holy name. That just by chanting Hare Krishna without offenses, we can get free from all of our sinful activities and all of our sinful reactions from our previous activities. And that's why sometimes people try to exploit the holy name, thinking, oh, the holy name will free me from all the reactions from my sins. Great. You know, I can do any sin I want and just chant Hare Krishna afterwards. And Krishna's like, no, if that's your mentality, then it's not going to work. So sorry. But if a sincere person is like, oh my God, I'm such a rascal. I'm so sorry, Krishna. I've done so many bad things in the past, and I still have so many bad qualities in my heart. I don't want to do any more sinful activities. I just want to be engaged in the pure activities of serving you and serving your devotees and engaging in the processes of sadhana. Please help me. And then they chant Hare Krishna. Then Krishna's like, yeah, I'll help you. I'll purify all the sinful reactions. I'll just take away your whole karmic burden so that you can progress very easily without carrying that weight and having all those difficulties in your life. So that's Krishna's kindness upon a very sincere soul who approaches him by chanting his holy names. Yes.
There was a guy who cheated on me with the money. He was a Vaishnava, and being a kid, I was just neophyte, and I was like, okay, we should help devotees. And I lent him some money. He said, I will return it to you, but he never returned it. But he always said, whenever my mom called him, he was in India, that he would always return the money, but he never did. Is it also an offense?
Yeah, stealing is it's a simple act. So yeah, if he doesn't return the money, he will get a reaction for that. Right? Especially since he knows. So yeah.
In that
Tell him that before he leaves his body, he needs to pay off his
Face the
debt.
consequences.
So he doesn't.
Actually, isn't that a thing that if you owe money, I think Mishra Bhagavan told me this once, and I think I've heard it, that if you have debt at the end of your life, you have to come back to basically repay your debt.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, tell him before he leaves the body, he has to pay it back, otherwise the thing work again. Yeah, there was one when my daughters were we went to Gurukul for a while, and then we realized that Gurukul was not a good place for their growth. So we took them out of Gurukul, but then the principal, and they were only in there for like a few weeks. So we had paid like a whole like registration fee and the whole first and second months or something. So then I called up and I was like, look, keep the registration fee and keep the first month, but give us back the second month. Because they didn't even finish the first month. And I thought I was being generous giving them that and the registration fee. Anyways, they didn't want to give back anything. And so, yeah, I was very calm and cool about it. And I was just like, all right, just, I was talking to like a secretary person. I said, just tell the principal that, she and I will both take birth again. So she'll eventually pay this back to me because it's the right thing to do. And she told me. So then immediately, like they sent someone. Within an hour, someone was knocking at my door. With
Oh, really? Maybe that's how you get to the permission.
He just blocked everyone's number.
So we can also think that you are like we are repaying if someone is not returning our money. So is it okay to think we are repaying the debt from our past life?
Maybe that could be that you cheated him in the past life, and he's like, you owed me this money from previous life, so.
That happens to me ever since I became a devotee. Today I had a
Oh.
so every time I do something, like my karma just hits like this.
Oh,
It wasn't bad. It's just that cars are so like made of aluminum. But yeah, I must have offended someone. Immediately I get the reaction.
It is said that when you give money in this form, like your Saturn things, like it goes off. Like yeah, it's good if you give money in accidents or something.
You're getting free from the reactions of your cosmic needs.
Yeah, your Saturn is going good.
The bad karma is less now. Oh, Krishna. Yeah. So the holy name is so powerful. You say that only by chanting Krishna's name is it possible to get free from all these reactions to sin. And of course, that's not why we chant. We're not chanting to get free from our sinful reactions, but that's just a kind of a bonus. But the real reason that we're chanting is to try to reawaken our loving relationship with Krishna. That's what he's saying, that if we chant without any offenses, then first we become purified, and then we come to the 5th stage of perfection. So there are stages of perfection. And the highest stage of perfection is Prema Pumarta Mahan, which means prema, Krishna, love for Krishna. That's the real goal of our chanting. Okay, text 27. Venera Udaya Kaya Venera Vikara Sweda Kampa Pulakari Gadgada Shudara. Want to read Krishna? You got it there?
You can read.
Oh, when one's transcendental loving service to the Lord is actually awakened, it generates transformations in the body, such as perspiration, trembling, throbbing of the heart, faltering of the voice, and tears in the eyes. It's interesting because, when somebody's like very madly in love, suddenly they're like, by the grace of Providence, they're like face to face with the object of their love, then this is what happens, right? Perspiration, trembling, throbbing of the heart, faltering of the voice. So, if even like mundane and so-called love can generate these kinds of transformations in the body, then what to speak of love for the ultimate object of love, the eternal object of love, which is Krishna. So, Prabhupada says, these bodily transformations are automatically manifested when one is actually situated in love of God. One should not artificially imitate them. Our disease is desire for that which is material. Even while advancing in spiritual life, we want material acclaim. You want to experience that? That's it. We want to, even in our spiritual advancement, even in our devotional life, we want recognition, right? We want to get some material benefits or praises or something. One must be freed from this disease. Yeah, so this is a disease that people should recognize, that I have been coming to Mangalarti every day for 2 weeks straight. Somebody should come and say, wow, what a great devotee you are. How self-disciplined, how austere, or I stayed the whole japa period and I chanted without touching my phone, without talking to anyone. People should notice this. People should tell me how focused I was, how attentive I was, how good my chanting was. So, right? Yeah. So that's a disease. Pure devotion must be anya vilashita shunyam, without desire for anything material. Yeah. So we should chant for loving Krishna, for serving Krishna, and not to try to get some, reputation as a good devotee. If that comes, then whatever.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. But that's not why we're doing our devotional service, is just to get the attention of other people and to be glorified. Advanced devotees manifest many bodily transformations, which are symptoms of ecstasy, but one should not imitate them to achieve cheap adoration from the public. When one actually attains the advanced stage, the ecstatic symptoms will appear automatically and does not need to imitate them. Yeah, so don't try to make a show of advanced devotion, but just be sincere and practice the process that Prabhupada gave us. And one fine day, we'll be chanting very purely, and tears of love for Krishna will be flowing down our cheeks.
I've heard that while we're chanting, in this entire lifetime, only one name, like one chanting, one word with all devotion, pure devotion, is enough to attain liberation. Is that true? Just one word.
Whether we can generate that pure word is another thing. How many lifetimes it will take us to come out with a pure Krishna. But yeah, it takes a second. He said it can take a second or it can take many lifetimes. So that's up to us, right? How we orient our mind and consciousness.
Krishna knows how fallen we are, but he's gonna help.
He's gonna help.
Yeah. Is he gonna help?
Oh, is he gonna help?
I just wish, like, till we all die, Prabhupada still kept that back door open for all of us.
Yeah, Krishna helps. So Krishna is very kind, and if he sees that we're sincere, then he's going to put us in the right association so that we can get purified.
Yeah, because I don't think so. This is like the level is right there, and oh my god, I can't even imagine. That feels so hard.
Yeah, it's a long way away, right?
Does it happen to anyone that you're like, okay, I'm not gonna do this anymore, but I'm gonna say it one more time. I'm gonna do this one more time.
One more time.
One
What?
last
Chant
time.
the
Yeah,
mantra?
one more time, whatever thing you do. Do that. Like I'm always like, okay, this is the last time I do it. This is the last time. And I'm always on the last time.
There's always like another last time.
While waking up in the morning, one last time sleeping.
They tell something, yeah, okay, I'm gonna go out and whatever. Oh, I knew that was a bad idea.
I have one.
Gotta go out and do some nonsense and be like, last time, Krishna,
Yeah.
let's finish this off, never again in my lifetime, and then, a month later,
Yeah.
actually, this will be the last time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So two questions. First, like if we are doing one last time, so how to be like so determined that okay, if this is one last time, then it is the last time.
It is actually the last.
And
Actually, the last time.
yeah. And second is,
Well, I mean, the thing is, the fact that we're saying this is the last time means we know that we shouldn't be doing it. We know that we shouldn't be doing it, but we're attached to doing it. So we want to do it again, right? That's the problem. The problem is that when we say one last time, it's like, means it's indication that we still have an attachment for that thing. So as much as we might want it to be, as much as we might want to be done with these kinds of activities, but the reality is that we're actually still attached to them, and that's why we want to do it one last time, even though we should not even be doing it one last time at all, right? So anyways, we kind of like, as good as our intentions are, we need to like really understand where we are. And then if we keep feeling the urge to do these things again and again, then we need to get help. We need to keep ourselves in strong association and improve our chanting, go deeper in our reading, our service, and pray to Krishna to give us the strength or to free us from the attachment. Because in the beginning, it's like a tug of war, between what we know we should do and what our minds and senses want to do. Two very different things. But after practicing Krishna consciousness for a long time, and provided we're doing it very seriously and very sincerely, good association and all that, then those desires just go away, and then it's not an issue. We don't want to do it at all, right? Even one last time, it's like out of the question. So the fact that we still want to do it means we need to tighten something up.
Yeah, our mind is still seeking pleasure in that activity.
Yeah.
My second question was like, it is said material attachments are like the disease or like the the
Wanting to be recognized.
wanting to be, yeah, maybe not for spiritual advancement, but for
anything.
anything. So how to remove that? Like how to work on that disease?
Wanting to be recognized. Yeah, that's the subtle thing. Prabhupada says that. And Caitanya Caritamrita says that is actually like, calls it subtle sex life. Profit, adoration, and distinction. Wanting to be adored, wanting to be seen as distinguished, like better than others.
Maybe wanting to be acknowledged, like if not better than others, like, but just acknowledge or something. Not this.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, in one sense, not everybody, but most people like to be appreciated, right? And that's just kind of like human, right? Everybody likes to be
Krishna likes to be appreciated.
Yeah, Krishna likes to be appreciated. So, but the thing is, like, when the only reason that you're doing it is to be appreciated, then that's when it becomes problematic. right? Like I won't do it if people don't appreciate me for doing it. Or let's say you do it for the sake of getting recognized and appreciated and glorified and praised. And then you don't get the desired result. They don't even know that you did it, or they don't acknowledge that you did it. Then you're gonna be like, all right, that's the last time I do that service. That's when it becomes a problem, right? They didn't appreciate me. That's the last time I do anything for that woman. You know? You have last times.
I should say this to that woman.
Never. Our impetus has to be to please Krishna. And then if someone appreciates us, that's a bonus. If they don't, well, I wasn't doing it for appreciation. I was doing it to please Krishna. And I know that Krishna saw. And he can do whatever he wants with it and reciprocate with me in whatever way he wants. But I know that I did it with a pure intention to please Krishna. Then it's good. And it's all right. Okay. And then usually, see, we're used to seeking appreciation and validation from other devotees, other humans, especially those that we hold in high esteem. But the more we do things really for the pleasure of Krishna, the more we're going to feel Krishna's reciprocation, and the less we're going to need that validation and appreciation from others, right? Because we're feeling like, well, I know that Krishna loves me. I know that Krishna is very pleased by my service. I know that Krishna saw that. He noted it. He reciprocated. And I don't care what, not that I don't care what other people think, but, I don't need that from anyone else. Like I'm fully satisfied with Krishna. Because also, Krishna's going to do things in such an expert way, in such a big way. Whereas we insignificant, tiny little parts and parcels, even when we try to reciprocate with someone or appreciate someone, like how much can we really reciprocate? It's not within our power. Sometimes it's not even within our emotional capacity, to reciprocate to the extent that maybe you need. Right? But Krishna has an unlimited emotional capacity, and he knows exactly what you need to be satisfied. And he will give it. Okay, let's go on. Text 28. Anayase bhavakshaya krishnera sevana eka krishna namira pale bhai eta dana. Where'd you go?
At the result of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one makes such great advancement in spiritual life that simultaneously his material existence terminates and he receives love of Godhead. The holy name of Krishna is so powerful that by chanting even one name, one very easily achieve these transcendental riches.
This is nice. So he's saying that two things happen as a result of chanting Hare Krishna. That first, our material existence terminates. Da, 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 da. Are you ready? Your material existence is going to be over. Right, that's why Rupa Goswami says, he composes that beautiful prayer that you okay? Do you need to translate something?
Yeah, she was asking me when did my material existence. I was just thinking about that. When I first joined, I think like people are blocking about this. Like how can you just like fully terminate? But at least for me personally, it's like I seek to like engage in sense gratification, but then I don't get the same enjoyment that I used to before. Or I get like this feeling of guilt. Like, I have this hyper consciousness of like, oh, I wasted my time going out with this friend, or like why did I choose to see this person instead of seeing my devotee friend? Like it always happens. I feel so empty.
So that's it. Whereas before, maybe you would actually enjoy it. So we can't. Material existence, either our material existence terminates in the way that we just aren't interested in material life anymore at all, or gradually, yeah, the fan is switched off and it's just slowing down, slowing down. Or we still might have some lingering desires, but when we try to fulfill them, it just doesn't work out well. Like we can't. So Krishna teaches us when we're there, he teaches us that material life is not enjoyable. Material life is not where it's at, basically. And so the first thing that happens is that he takes that away, and then, but he doesn't just leave us empty. Says that simultaneously, one's material existence terminates, and he receives love of Godhead. So then, yeah, we realize that these relationships that we thought were love, but were actually lost, are just causes of pain and anxiety and distress. And so we give those up, and in replace, we get the most wonderful, unlimitedly satisfying, loving relationship with Krishna. And he says that one can very easily achieve these transcendental riches by chanting the holy name, even once. Oh, I was just saying your name because you were like, even once? Yeah, so he says here that by chanting even Eka Krishna Nama Pale. This is the fruit of Eka Krishna Nama, of just one Krishna, name of Krishna. Okay, 29. Ena Krishna Nama Adi-lila Bahubara Tabu Yadi Prema Nahe Nahe Ashudara Tave Jani Aparada Tahate Prachara Krishna Nama Bija Tahe Nakare Ankura.
If one chants the exalted holy name of the Lord again and again, and yet his love for the Supreme Lord does not develop, and tears do not appear in his eyes, it is evident that because of his offenses in chanting, the seed of the holy name of Krishna does not sprout. Purport: if one chants the Hare Krishna mantra offensively, one does not achieve the desired result. Therefore, one should carefully avoid the offenses, which have already been described in connection with verse 24.
A while back, we read a verse saying that if we chant the holy names and we're committing offenses, then this goal of love of Godhead will not be attained even after many, many lifetimes. So,
Question then.
Yeah.
So then we are, at least I am committing offenses every day because I'm always inattentive while I'm chanting. So that's an offense, right?
yeah.
Okay, so
So that's why we have to really train the mind, it's a practice, the discipline. It's like when you're learning mridanga or something, you start off and your hands are all over the place, but you just keep practicing. And then before you know it, your fingers are automatically doing all the mantras perfectly. So like that every day, it's another chance to practice. Practice makes perfect. The more we keep practicing. And the thing is, what happens is, the reason that we're inattentive is because we don't have the taste, right? Like if somebody gives you, like your favorite food, you take your first bite of that food and you're just like, you'd absorb your whole existence in that flavor, right? There's no chance of being inattentive. So the taste, Krishna's name is said to be so sweet, right? Like the sweetest nectar. But the thing is that we're not tasting. So because the taste comes when we chant purely. So gradually, and then Rupa Goswami says that the holy name of Krishna is just sweet like sugar candy. But because we're afflicted with the disease of jaundice, jaundice is a disease that affects the liver, and it makes everything you taste bitter, even if it's sweet. Even if you're eating straight sugar, it tastes bitter. So the holy name is sweet, but because we have this jaundice, we can't taste the sweetness of the holy name, even though its nature is sweet, just like sugar. But then he says that for jaundice, the remedy is to drink sugarcane juice, and then that purifies the liver, and you get cured, gradually get cured, and then you start being able to taste the sweetness of sugar gradually. So like that, the remedy for tasting the sugar is drinking sugarcane juice. So the same way, the remedy for having no taste for the holy name is to chant the holy name, and then gradually you get purified, and that we start being able to taste the sweetness. And then once we taste the sweetness, then we won't be inattentive because it will be all consuming. It will just overtake our minds. Okay, so it is 7 p.m. Central Time.
No.
What, you want to do one more?
Yes. Sorry.
Oh no, the next one is a really long purport. We'll start that tomorrow. All right. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Raj Goswami ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Hari Hari.